Hello and welcome to the Purpose Pursuit podcast with me, Hannah Miller. But this episode is not just with me, Hannah Miller. It is also with a wonderful guest that I would love to just quickly introduce to you. Today's episode, I am joined by the wonderful Olga Thompson, who I am delighted to have got to know. Olga Thompson is also known as her Instagram handle, Big Fat Greek Mother. She's a comedian sharing the highs and lows of going through the menopause and being a mum of teenage boys. And this episode is full of joy, honesty. She is so refreshing in her outlook. I felt 2 inches taller by the end of our conversation. She's honest, she's vulnerable, she shares what life is really like, and she doesn't cover over the cracks in any way. And yet she's hilarious. And so I would love you to listen to this episode and hear a bit of the gold from Olga's story and experience, and know that she was somebody who felt like the biggest outsider, and all she wants to do now is make people feel incredibly welcome. So come on in and listen to our conversation. Hello. I am just genuinely so excited to be speaking to you, Olga. It is so good
Me
to get
too.
this chance. It all started for me when my sister once sent you one of your funny mom
Oh,
of boy
no.
videos, and it all started with that. And here we
Oh,
are,
my.
a few years down the line, actually having a conversation. Thank you for what you
Mom,
do.
thank you for having me. Thank you for laughing. Every time somebody says I shared your video, I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I'm so grateful when someone watches or comments or shares. Honestly, it really means the world. I don't take it for granted that people are going to watch it or enjoy it. But when they do, it really makes it means so much. So
Well,
thank you.
we love it and we love you. And actually, Olga, because I've now read your life story, for
Oh,
everybody
no.
watching, Split Ends by Olga Thompson, Big Fat Greek Mother, and New
Oh,
Beginnings, sorry. I know loads about you. And I know that not only do we have 3 boys in common, we both
yes.
have hairdresser mums.
No.
Yes, we both have a strong personal faith, and yeah,
Amazing.
we are family people. So we've got. I'm not
Yeah.
as funny as you. Like I would like to think I'm funny, but I'm not funny like you're funny. I'm just a little bit funny.
I'm sure you're very funny.
I
I'm
think
sure
we
it
could be
comes
quite funny
naturally.
together. That's what I
Yeah.
definitely think. I'd ride on your coattails for sure. Let's just start with the boy thing and the boy mom thing. Um, when you had 3 boys, right?
Oh,
Did you I mean, just to be clear, I love having 3 boys. My sister has
yeah.
3 boys, my brother has 3 boys. We do the
Oh,
boy
so
thing.
did the family. I love
Totally.
that.
But did you get people say to you, "Oh, shame."
Yeah, no, I did. I had people say, another one,
Yeah.
another one. Back then, I don't know, people were shocked. It was like, what, another boy? Because everyone was convinced that there was going to be another girl. And everyone was like, that it was unusual or abnormal that someone would have 3 sons. I don't know why it was such a big deal. But honestly, back when I had my third one, it was like another one. There was a shock of people saying, "Oh, you okay?" Because you didn't
Yeah.
get a girl. And I was
Are you gonna
like,
keep going for a girl? Did people say
"Yes,
that
I've
to
had
you?
that. I've
Yeah.
had that as well. You're going to keep going for a girl,
Can
or
you imagine if you said, "Yes, I am actually. I'm going to have 55 children until I
I'm
have a
gonna keep
girl.
going."
I'm
Well,
gonna
yeah,
keep
but
going
knowing
forever."
me, if it's your destiny, and if it's in your DNA or whatever it is there. It is meant to be. Then you are gonna have those 26 boys. There is nothing
Absolutely.
you can do. No matter what you do, you will have those 26 boys.
And my youngest boy, Levi, is the 9th boy in a row. So the family were
Wow.
like, "What is this?
Yeah.
What is this?"
Yes.
Yet again. But
Same on my husband's side. It's predominantly boys. All the cousins are boys,
mm,
so it's because it's determined by the
yeah,
male
it is. I
genes.
think it is. It's their fault. But what a joy.
Yes.
What a joy it is to have
What a
them.
joy. It's mad. It's
Total madness.
absolute. We don't have like periods and mood
No.
swings and strops in the middle of H&M, but we do have kind of like hangry, grubby,
Yeah. Big.
feral,
Just big.
smelly behavior that is always pacified with some kind of protein.
Food. Yeah, protein. I went through a
Protein.
large period of my life never talking about protein, and now if I go a day without protein coming up in conversation,
It's just
where are those days?
honestly, just before this, I nipped out to do the protein run because even though I do a massive food shop every day we're lacking in
Chicken,
specific protein. It's the chicken. Ugh. So I'm
eggs,
a veggie, and I'm sure it's because of them. I just can't bear the raw chicken, chicken in breadcrumbs,
yeah,
frozen chicken.
chicken, eggs, the number of eggs. Oh my goodness me.
That air fryer has been worked. That girl has been worked. She works day and night like a dog. That air fryer is about to like give up. But they just literally keep loading her up,
Yeah.
loading her up, loading her up.
Yeah.
And it's nauseating. It's
Totally, I
actually
agree.
nauseating.
But aren't they wonderful? Because I think boys, again, this is slightly not where we were going to go, but I do want to say this and see what you think because we're in the same team. I think boys get a tough press. I
They
think
do.
boys are way more wonderful and such a
They
wonderful
do.
thing to have. And I think at the moment
They do.
it's quite hard to be a boy. And I think that
It
they're
is.
always just seen as lowest common denominator. Just expect this from your boy.
Yeah, yeah. And almost like but I mean, yeah, almost like they're not soft, they're not um empathetic, they're not,
Yeah,
it's almost like you're looking at the things that they're not, but there are so many of those things. Like I have some
absolutely.
really deep conversations with my boys. I get the biggest hugs off my boys, and
Yeah,
they're very, very sensitive,
yeah,
each in their own way, very hugely sensitive,
totally.
and hugely sensitive to me. So if the other day I was quite down about something, and my son went, "But you're great, mum, so just keep going," and he gave me a massive hug, and they're really good at reading you. You know, you think, oh, boys don't.
Oh, they
They're just
so do
they're
though.
really good. They're really, really good. But the thing is, because of my comedy content,
Mm.
I kind of make comedy out of the funny stuff, so I don't always pick up on the sensitive stuff.
No,
But they are really,
totally, but behind the scenes, the reality is and they're
they
3
are,
different characters, they're 3 different
yeah,
people.
yeah, they really are, aren't they?
Mm,
Do you not find that, Hannah? Like each of the three boys, they're so
so
different to
different.
each other, and different to me and my husband as well. Like you just think, oh, that's a bit different. Okay, okay, but it's
Totally.
lovely.
And I
It's
think that's
lovely.
one of the things when you've got a single sex family, whether it's 3 girls, 3 boys, whatever, you recognise that not everything is about their sex or gender. Whereas I've got some
Yeah,
friends where they've got a boy and a girl and they'll say, "Oh, well, that's because he's a boy and she does that because she's a girl." And I'm like, "Well, actually, my third son does that. And he's a boy." And that not everything is about you just know they've got different
yeah,
personalities, but they're very different people and need different things
yeah.
from you. And they always need protein and a hug.
Always protein. Protein is the lowest common
Totally, and
denominator.
in our house. It
But
really is.
they're just so lovely, and each one's really, really kind and mindful and respectful, and and that's from my husband as well, that he's brought them up to be really respectful of women
Yeah,
and respectful of their mother, and how I'm feeling, and just to be really, I don't know, just mindful of me, which I really love. But also, if we're going to rough and tumble, we're going to rough and tumble.
totally.
Almost a
Yeah,
bit softer with me,
you
but
pick me up and I'm a lot taller than you. You are quite diminutive, aren't
I
you?
am so short. I don't know what happened. Like when God was making me, he ran out of Play-Doh and he went, "Well, that's that then.
Yeah, no,
Let's just."
perfectly formed, don't need anything extra. I'm actually quite tall, but my biggest boy, my middle son is about 6'5", and they can I know he's
Wowzer.
enormous, but they will pick me up over their shoulders and, just carry
I love
if I'm
that.
nagging them, they just pick me up, a fireman's lift and throw me out the room, and they're like, "Shut up, mother." But yeah, they are great and wonderful to have. Now, we have done our bit for the girls out there by producing 6 wonderful young men. We have done our part for these
Yeah.
wonderful women that they will one day meet.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And also they're really quite domesticated. And kind of I've taught them, well, this is how you make the pancakes, and this is how yep. Well, see, that's how you'd empty that bin now, wouldn't you? I mean, they don't always do the jobs, but they're very aware of how to run a home. And then
Good.
my eldest now is off to America. He's got a scholarship, so
Wow,
to play sports, and he's already lived away from home, playing for a team in the UK at 16, left home. So now he's going abroad. He knows how to look, he knows how to cook, he knows how to do his washing, he knows how to, and they should know these things. It's not just the female load.
that's
They
right.
should, this
They've
is
gotta
just,
learn.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
how did you my middle boy is at the moment travelling. He's in Asia. It
Oh,
was a
how are
big
you
deal.
managing
Well, yeah, it
that?
was really sad when he left. I've got more used to it. He's home in about 4 weeks, but it's been
How
a
long did he go
6
for?
6 months, so it's felt a long time. How are
Anna.
you feeling about this?
Not okay.
It's
So
hard.
my son's going out for 4 years,
Oh,
but he goes from August to December, which is what, 4 months?
yeah,
What is that?
yeah.
But that's like,
That's gonna be
mhm,
tough.
yeah. So yeah, I'm getting better. The way I'm dealing with it is that I've kind of done a lot of talking about it on social media, and I've had a lot of women my age with kids similar to my age saying, yes, it is tough.
Mhm.
It is going to hurt like hell, but it's time for you as well. It's time for you to discover what are the things that you want to do. more of, because you need to think about that that there is a bit more space,
Yeah.
and that space is who are you now,
Yeah.
and to celebrate that. And the other thing to think about is you worked all your life to raise
This is
a
what you did
child,
it
a young.
for.
This is what I did it
It's
for,
your own
and
fault.
I did it too good, darn it. So I think those two things are keeping me on the ground at the moment. The fact that there's also space for me to go, what are the things that are coming? What are the surprises for me?
Yeah.
What are the things for me? I'm still here. What are the things that I would like to do now that my children are older?
Yeah.
Things for myself. And also look what has happened. This young man who's a strong, man, full of courage and full of faith and full of joy. And it's like, this is the
Yeah.
most wonderful
It
thing,
is.
when I think of, other scenarios that could have happened. So I'm trying, Hannah, I'm
It's good
trying.
hard. It's good hard. I mean, in the week or two in the run up to Jude leaving, I was really quite tearful, and I could feel like the coming
Yeah.
wave. And I'm an emotional person, so I would feel this
Mm.
like I'm grieving what's coming. And then obviously the airport
Yes.
goodbye was a big deal, and I
I don't
cried
know how
all the
I'm going
way
to do
home.
that. I don't know how I'm going to do
I'll
that.
send you the
I,
photo of us saying goodbye later, so you can have a look at it, and you'll feel the mum
no.
heart in it. But just to say, the first few days after he left, I was quite bereft to start with. I definitely felt it, and I thought, how are we going to do this amount of time? And you know what? It just got easier. I think the
Yeah,
first
well, it
month
will.
felt ages. And then once we got through the first month, I just thought life has now found a new way. We speak, we FaceTime, he's doing his thing, he's coming back.
How does that work with the time difference though? What are the
Yeah.
hours difference for
Well,
you guys?
it was really hard. First of all, he was in New Zealand, and that meant it was the very
Okay.
other end of the day, and he
Okay.
didn't have much phone. He was on a program to begin with called Soul Edge, and they just had their phone once a week as part of it.
Right.
So that was quite
Okay.
good because it meant I'm not expecting to hear from you, and we spoke
Oh.
once a week. And then now he's traveling. Obviously, he texts a lot more, but we haven't had loads of phone conversations because of data, time
Yeah,
difference.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah,
a
yeah.
life, etc. Things like that to think about. But with
Yeah.
life is busy, isn't it? Your life is busy. There's good stuff going on, and we found a new rhythm. And I
Yeah.
can't wait to see him now. I'm in the home stretch. I'm in the home
Yeah, you're
stretch
nearly there. And then
before he
what, you're going
goes
to
again to uni, and
oh,
off he goes. But not so far.
eh,
Not so far.
oh, I don't know. It's a new landscape, isn't it? It's a new landscape.
It
When
is.
Because it is really hard for older women. It's like it's hard and it's wonderful, and it's like your body's changing. You're
Mm,
going through perimenopause and menopause, and while you're going through that, your kids are getting older, maybe leaving home, going, studying, becoming more independent. They're not little. You don't push them around in a buggy anymore. They're not just like that. This was my
mm,
world. This buggy,
yeah,
two kids in it, and then one on a buggy board. That was my world, and that's what I moved around in. That was my orbit, and then all of a sudden, that's not my world.
yeah.
My world's here, and there is an element of going, well, who am I? What do I want to do? What is there? What else is there for me? It's not the end. It's not the end. So what is
Absolutely.
coming?
And that is one of the lovely messages in your book, which I'd love to talk to you about and try and connect that to some of the things I talk about with my audience, because a lot of the
Mm.
people I work with come to me because they're in exactly those moments. They have
Yeah.
hit a transition point. It might be menopause, it might be children leaving the home, it could be a relationship change, or what are good things and not such good things. And they're like, who am I? And your book is full of that sense of, in fact, there was something that you said, I wrote it down, it's on my page here. You said it was time for me to celebrate who I was. And
Yeah.
you celebrated who you were, and then you recognized, right, what is this next season? And can you tell us a little bit about how you have taken what was in previous seasons and seen that the new season's got lots of new stuff for you? How have you coped with those moments of transition so far?
Well, the way I see it is that where I am right now, I'm in a place where I'm not scared anymore of anything, because I was in such a dark place where I,
Mm,
I did I did have a breakdown, and I totally lost myself. Um, and it was one of the darkest times of my life, where I literally felt like I was kind of like a body in a body bag. I wasn't really here. There was no life in there. I had terrible depression, terrible anxiety, totally lost myself after the birth of my third son, and I felt like I disappeared. So now in this new phase, the transition has been. that dark time has kind of fed into the light,
Mm.
because now I'm like, I did the scary part. I'm so brave. I take the chances. I say yes to things before I've even had a chance to think about whether I can do it or not, because I'm so excited and I'm like, nothing scares me.
Mm.
Nothing scares me, Hannah. Um
That is
not
amazing.
I've been to the darkest.
Yeah.
I've seen the worst. I actually have seen what the worst looks like. I felt like I looked at death in the eye, and there wasn't anything else more terrifying. So if I'm going to dance in the middle of a supermarket with perimenopausal symptoms, that's nothing to me. Do your worst. Even when I get trolled, I'm like, really? That's nothing compared to what I've been through.
No. Can I
So
ask
you don't like
you?
my nose, you don't like my nose, and you don't like my eyebrows.
That's okay. That
I'm
do you.
devastated.
Yeah. But
That's
can I
fine.
talk to you about about that? Because going back to you've got a fourth baby, which is, I think a book is a bit like having another baby, right? You've got
Yeah.
another thing that you've put out there, which is full of vulnerability. And I loved it and I really enjoyed reading it, and I love hearing people's life stories. And by the way, I really loved the way, although it was a memoir, every single chapter was about reflecting on how that affects the reader. So it wasn't just a
Yes.
memoir, it was yeah,
Always.
it was right.
Always.
Let's think
Always.
about this. What does this mean for you? What lessons can you take from my story? But you have put something out there, and by the time this podcast is released, I will
I
also be able
know.
to say that my book is coming, not till
I'm so
December.
excited for this. I'm so excited for this. What's the title?
It's
Are we
called,
allowed to?
yeah, we can say the title. It's called The Purpose Pursuit, and it is all about helping people
Amazing.
discover more of who they're made to be. And it's very practical, it's very grounded, it's full of stories and other people's stories as well. But
I love it.
I have got this little bit of me, which is some people aren't going to like it. Some people will say, "Oh, nothing new in here." And you've obviously, and and before you answer me, I talk to lots of people who are held back by, what other people might say, what other people think, sometimes what their family members might think of them, people that,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you've
Yeah.
pushed through that. You've clearly pushed through to the other side and thought, "Do you know what? I've got one life here. I've got one chance to do these
Yeah.
things." How have you done that? How have you just thought, and what does it feel like when you do get that? I suppose strangers are different to loved ones, but if you do get
Yeah.
that kind of stranger feedback, if somebody said, "Oh, nothing," what something negative, do you have a
It
process, or does it
I
just?
think I do, in the sense that I've put out some truth that's going to do some good in the world.
Yeah,
And I have every conviction that it is true and that it's going to do some good in the world. Other than that, I you could attack it in whatever way you want. I know that I've put out truth that is going to do some good in the
yeah,
world.
and that's your
What happened? Yeah, and I'm convinced of that. I'm convinced that it is 100% true. It is my own work and it is going to do good in the world. It's a message of encouragement.
yeah,
And if people are cynical enough as to say, well, that's just another book of encouragement, well, that's very sad.
it is.
That's very sad for you. But I'm not expecting everyone to love it and for it to be a bestseller. I just wanted to put it out there because I think sometimes you have to step out, and I've been doing this job for many, many years, and often I put work out there and it doesn't go anywhere, but it comes back to me years later.
Yeah,
Um, it's very much like sometimes you have to just put things out there, kind of like cast your bread onto the
yeah.
waters and just
See what happens.
see what will come, come, because you don't know. If we're always sitting here in fear before we put anything out because we're terrified about how it's going to look or how it's going to sound, we'll never do anything.
That's right. No, and
I refuse. I don't want to get to the end of my life and think, oh, I wish I could have done that, or I wish I could have, you know, yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to be old and then to regret that I never did the things that I wanted to try and do.
I think one of the things, again, that I talk to a lot of people about is they're on the kind of precipice of thinking, I want to try something new, or it's time for a different job or a different season. But there are all
Yeah,
these kind of, well, what if I regret it, or what if it doesn't work out, or what if I
yeah,
fail? And your book talks about mistakes and things that
yeah,
don't work. And I'm a big advocate for saying it's better to have tried and it not
yeah,
work out than to not do something. And
yeah.
I'm not a perfectionist. Like, I'm lots of
No,
things, but I am not a perfectionist, thank goodness.
yeah,
So that doesn't hold me back. But there's so many people who are held back by, what if it doesn't work out first time, or what if I don't get the job that I
yeah.
go for, or what if this? And you seem to have been able to just stop worrying about the what ifs and do it
I
anyway.
think I think it's because I feel very much like having come through, and I'm in this new season of, I'm 50, and I turned 50 earlier this year, and it was a sense of, it's now, it's now, that the time is now.
Mm,
Not everything comes to you when you're young. I think for me, now is my season, and for so many people listening, men, women, now is your time.
I
Maybe you're
agree.
in your 40s, maybe you're in your 50s, but how do you know that now isn't your time? For many of us women in particular who have been raising children, around my age is the time where your children are older and more they're more capable. They don't need you as much, and it's time for you to kind of find out who you
Mm,
are and what you want to do. And I just feel like nothing scares me, because I've seen it all. And also, as an ambassador for Kidscape, the
mm,
children's charity, I feel like I do have to be that role model for others, so that when I do get attacked or when I do get trolled, I'll always respond with grace and kindness, but
yeah.
with a maybe an element of kind of kill them with a bit too much kindness. Like, thank you so much, um, Barry, for your comment about my I don't know, left earlobe. That's so kind of you. All the love to, and it's a picture of them on, looking not hugely attractive on a motorbike or whatever it is that these men often look like, but you just have to understand that people, first of all, people that are biting at you it's not because of you, it's because of them. That's the first
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely. It's a reflection on that person, that's what they wanna
Yeah.
do with their time and their life.
Yeah, yeah, and I've seen so much more good come out of me sharing my story, my testimony, than I have seen bad. So
Yeah,
I'm just going to keep going until someone literally says stop. You have to stop. Like, really, somebody that I would really care about to
sure.
turn around
It's
and go,
their opinions that matter.
that's all that matters. I don't care. As long as my husband and three boys are cheering me on and go, yes, mum. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
It's brilliant. Can I ask you something else then about this confidence? Because again, what was amazing in your story is that you obviously, I knew you had that parents had moved to the UK, but you said in your book that when you first went to school, you couldn't speak English. And then
Mm.
you went from not speaking English to studying English to then not
Yes.
only being the quiet girl who couldn't speak when you were little to wanting to perform. Talk a
Mm.
bit about Tell me about
Yeah.
that. Did you always, even when you couldn't speak English, did you feel like I've got something to say, or is that something that
Yeah, I
yeah,
was always playing different characters. I was always, all I ever wanted to do from a young age. I just would dress up with a blanket, or, with my teddy bears. There would be a story. There was always a story, and there was always a performance. Even if I couldn't get it out in English, even in Greek, I was just always performing. And I always had that story that I wanted to tell. And I think it kind of got to the point where, because I was bullied at school, for me, telling stories and making up comedy sketches for the other kids was my thing.
yeah.
It became my thing. As long as I'm making you laugh, you can't hurt me. As long as I'm entertaining you, you can't put me down. And I think funny became my thing. So, and then I realized, oh, this is mine. I'm good at this. Okay, nobody can take this from me. And then I just kept doing it more and more and more. I do have to be careful sometimes not to hide behind it. When there are things that I need to maybe deal with on a personal level,
Yeah.
that I can hide behind comedy, and I have to just sometimes go, no, it's you have to be vulnerable now. You have to be still now. So yeah, I don't know if I answered your
No,
question, if I've gone.
you have, and I think what you've just
Thank
said shows how I mean, I talk to people a lot about their personality and helping them understand more about
you.
themselves, and obviously part of your personality is fun and positivity and joy. But yeah, like you've just said, a mature version of that is that you also realize that I don't want to use it in a way that stops me from dealing with my stuff. And
Yes,
obviously
yes,
you've grown up, you've been through some big deals and you've faced some hard things. So now you know life can be humorous and can be funny, but
yeah,
you can do the deep work too, and you can do what you
yeah,
need to do.
yeah.
And the bullying bit, just can we talk about that a little bit? Because I found it heartbreaking to read, like the
Mhm.
thought of being on the receiving end of that at school, and yet knowing that that is so common. My youngest boy,
So
when he was at primary school, he's actually such a big character and very happy at secondary school. But there was a year at primary just before the pandemic. He's convinced that God sent the pandemic so he didn't have to go back to school. He was
oh,
so unhappy, and the breaking point for me was when he said to me, he said, I'm taking my sandwiches and I'm eating them in a toilet cubicle because I don't want." And I was like, "No more. This is no more. Right? This can't carry
yeah.
on." And actually, school were amazing. My story is that school were amazing. We got out the other side. He also did some good work on like forgiving those boys who'd really hurt him. He went to secondary school, and he's very popular, but he's also very inclusive. He's very happy.
Yeah.
He will
Oh,
always make room for people. Like that's what he does.
oh, what a
So
gorgeous
it's got a
boy.
great ending, but I remember that feeling as a parent of, I am heartbroken for you. And there will be
Course,
people
course.
listening to this who have
Yeah,
children who are
yeah,
currently being bullied, or they've experienced it themselves
yeah,
and haven't had the
yeah,
breakthrough that you've had to feel uh, that sense of identity that you have. Is there anything that you would say, both as an adult who'd suffered as a
yeah.
child, but also maybe parents who are listening as well?
Well, like I said, I'm an ambassador for
Yes.
Kidscape, and I think first of all, that's an incredible resource. I learned about Kidscape when my own son, my eldest, was going through horrific bullying at primary school, to the point where he got very ill
I'm sorry.
over it. And you know, sorry for you as well. And I reached out to them and I said I didn't know what to do, I didn't know where to go, and the resources that they gave me, and this was, we're talking like 7 years ago now, the resources that they gave me were phenomenal.
Mm.
And then I started slowly connecting with them more and more. And then as my work online grew more and more, I just thought, oh, I want us to work together. And then they asked me to come on as an ambassador. But I would say your feelings are valid, whether you're a parent or a child. If you're feeling uncomfortable or angry or hurt, it is very normal. Allow your feelings. Don't stop kind of pushing them away and saying, "Oh no, no, I'm the adult." No, you will. If you're the parent of a child who's going through bullying, it will feel like you are going through literal hell.
Mm.
And just to allow those feelings, and those
Yeah.
feelings are normal. You are normal, but places like Kidscape can um, give you the tools and the language that you need to speak to the school, and to, because sometimes as parents we don't know what the language is. What do we say? How do we get the school's attention? But Kidscape can give you the support that you need to go to to know how
How
to
to
speak to the
speak to
school.
school. And
You know,
and what about somebody who's an adult that still feels like their bullying experience has really impacted
yeah,
their adult life?
yeah.
What would be your
I think
encouragement
what's
to
a
them?
well, I mean, it's statistics are shocking that show that people that have gone through bullying statistically, you know, have poorer health, have less sometimes have less prospects in life, etc. But that doesn't, that you don't have to be a statistic. There is help, you know. And I know for me, one of those avenues of help was counselling and talking therapies, and I had to do a
Mm.
lot of work. Even now, I can get very paranoid about whether I'm liked or not liked. And being on social media can exacerbate that. You know, am I liked? Am I not liked? Has my post done very well? Is it because I'm not cool? Is it because I
Mm.
don't belong? Is it
Mm.
because I, you know? And I have to be really careful and just, oh, catch it, catch it. But to know that if you are feeling that way and you are a child that was bullied, if you're an adult that was bullied, you might be pushing it away, but it accounts for so much today, and why you do the things that you do, and why you behave the way that you do in front of other people, or, you know, maybe with your spouse or whatever. You might think, oh, it was just something that happened in childhood, but actually it can really affect the way that you relate to others, talk to others, the way that you read um, people's sort of social cues. It can affect everything. So I think acknowledging that is a massive step forward. I think acknowledging that you could have been affected as an adult, and that there are things in your life that could correlate back to that childhood experience, is a
Mm.
massive breakthrough. Um,
I think for me, whether it's bullying or other things, it's been a huge breakthrough for me to realise when I'm behaving in a certain way, or
yeah.
I'm feeling something, and it's nothing to do with that moment really.
Yes.
It's to do
Yes.
with a completely different moment, and I
Yes.
realise that it's like a hangover from that I
Yes.
need to
Always.
understand that, oh, I'm really triggered by this, or that really hurt because my body or mind is acting like I'm 11 years old again or whatever it might
Yes,
be, and that's
absolutely,
what is bringing out
always.
in me.
Always, always. And I know that sometimes I can feel really, really panicky. And I'm like, why am I out of sorts? And why do I feel like really uncomfortable and low? And, there's lots of things going on here for me. I'm hormonal,
Yeah.
I'm getting older, there are loads of things going on in my family. Life is hard. Life is hard. But I know when I'm feeling particularly vulnerable and particularly like, oh, I'm feeling off. I'm feeling off. And then I'll have to slow down, sit myself down, be really still, and go, well, what do you need? What do you need? And I don't want to kind of be like a kind of an American talk show. What do you need, hon? What do you need? Just connect with the nature. But it really is it really is that feeling of shh, 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 shh,
Yeah.
that just what is it? What is it? And often, more often than not, it is that little girl inside going, and then her telling me something about feeling uncomfortable or restless or frustrated or unable to find the words to express herself. But so many times when we react to things as adults, it's not necessarily the situation.
No,
It's what it's sitting on top of.
absolutely. And if we don't do that dismantling, it's just gonna keep
Yeah.
happening, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is. I mean, I've done years of talking therapies, years of it,
Same, same.
years, and then you think you're done with something, and I'm like,
Oh,
what?
it's again.
Again?
Again.
This? I dealt with this 10 years ago. But something that somebody once told me was, you might feel like you're going down the same spiral again, dealing with this again, but each time you go down, you're kind of seeing a different part of the journey.
Yeah.
You don't you're seeing a different part of the spiral as you go down, and you're dealing with a different part of it. So you're not going over the same ground, so to speak.
No, and I think I'm learning, although I feel like I'm going around the houses sometimes. I think I'm getting quicker and better at realizing what's going on and why I'm doing what
Yes,
I'm doing. That's a definite thing that I've
absolutely.
grown in, and that
Abs-
that helps
abs-
everyone who has to live with me and love me for
oh my
sure.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
'Cause
Oh
we're
my
like the
god.
weather. I think being the mum in my the boys are like, "Mum is the weather," you know? What mum is feeling, affects us
Oh
all
yeah.
really in
Yeah.
in a good
Yeah. Yeah.
way and a not so good way sometimes too.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. They do say that. I do have that as well. And I really have to kind of say to them, look, sometimes I have to say sorry.
Yeah, so
I have to
same.
say sorry. And sometimes I have to say, Mummy's not feeling great, and that's okay. And you can do your own dinner, or you can, I'm going away, I'm going to go and lie down. Or I think I've gotten better at recognizing the sign, accepting the sign,
Mm,
saying sorry
mm.
to them, to myself, forgiving myself. When you lose it, forgive yourself. If you recognize it, forgive yourself. Ask for forgiveness for others, but then
Yeah, that's right.
forgive yourself as well.
Yeah, totally. Because 'cause we're not perfect.
We're not.
So you just talked a little bit about life is busy and life can be hard and there's plenty of things going on, and I wanna ask you
Yeah.
2 things there.
Yeah.
First one is, how have you this is a bit more personal, but I've been having a really tough time, as well. So as in there's the public stuff that I'm doing, there's the work I do. My job involves lots of workshops and speaking engagements, and you have to show up and you have to be who you are
Yeah.
and do this thing. And actually, coming from a family that was at times quite dysfunctional, I learned very well how to pretend like I was fine. So I'm quite good at
Yes.
doing that.
Yeah.
But
Me too.
both my mum, who is very poorly and has just moved into residential care, she has Parkinson's, and my
Oh, I'm
mother-in-law
sorry.
died 5 weeks ago. So
I'm
there's been a
so sorry
lot
for
of
your loss.
thank you.
Gosh,
And
that's a
it's
lot.
the stuff of life. It's not unusual. We're all gonna face it. But
Mm.
the deterioration of mum and that happening so quickly in the life
Yeah,
of what's gone on with my mother-in-law, you get in the car and you go to work, you go do your thing, you think, "Gosh, I've gotta
yeah,
just switch it on and
yeah,
be
yeah.
okay." And also, I'm trying to put content out there, which of course I don't want it to just be all the time, this is what's going on for me, because actually I don't
Of
want to
course.
share everything. How have
No,
you managed when life has got difficult things going on? Have you ever felt like you're being disingenuous or you know
no.
what I mean?
I did in the beginning, but then I realized that actually I share the parts that I want to share,
Yeah,
and I don't share the parts that I don't want to share. Before I used to, like, people say, "Hi everyone, I'm having an Instagram break, or I'm having a social media break." If I want a break, I just take a
just
break.
take one.
Just take a break. If I don't want to post something, I don't post it.
No.
If I can repost something. And also, if I'm not feeling great, I might just say, "Hey guys, been a little bit down. Back soon." Like, it's really not. I just think it's very. I don't know. We need to just kind of normalize that. If you're not feeling okay, you could either say you're not feeling okay, or
Yeah.
just and just but without giving all the detail, or you can just not say anything.
And I guess it's okay. I guess what you're saying there
It's
as
all
well, which is
okay.
quite helpful, is sometimes I've thought when I'm doing a more like, upbeat video, it's okay to do that. It doesn't
Yeah.
that not everybody has to know what is going on
No,
in my life for me to be
no,
being
because
genuine.
no, because I'm sorry, but there have been the most heart-wrenching times of my life.
Mm,
There are some like heartbreaking things that have happened in my family, but I've also been able to laugh in those times.
yes,
And there have been the weirdest situations, and then something funny will happen, and you'll laugh, and it's like
totally.
the two are bedfellows, comedy
They're
and
so close, aren't they?
sadness. They're bedfellows, and and it's a gift that God's given. I think that you
Mm,
can have laughter in those dark places, like you know, when you lose someone, you lose, and that grief is just all consuming. But you might watch a bit of Morecambe and Wise, in that period of
mm,
mourning. I know when we lost my father, the next day we all watched Eurovision together,
mm.
and the two can exist.
They can. I mean, the
The two
night
can exist.
that just last 2 weeks ago, we moved my mum into her new residential care home, me and my sister, and it was the hardest day, and to leave her that night, we were so shattered, and it'd been a whole long thing. Anyway, I was staying at her house, and I was getting ready for bed. This is what I'm saying, we were emotional wrecks, but then I sleep with a silk cap on, and I sleep with
Lovely.
an eye mask, and I sleep with,
Oh, me
earplugs in,
too.
because I've actually got quite curly hair, and I turned to my sister and I said it's not gonna be funny now at all, but I said, "It's because I suffer so much with frizz." And I said it so seriously that she just was hysterical, to the point that I don't think I've laughed that hard for years. I thought
I love that, but
and
I
we were
love
so
that.
sad, but it was the funniest thing because I said it
I
so seriously, like it was a serious disease. I suffer seriously with frizz, that it was like I was talking about, a major illness, and
I
we were
know,
so tired that everything
but
was
but
hilarious.
but you have to. I remember at the weekend. So my husband had to go to A&E. He cut his hand. He was trying to do some DIY, bless him,
Excellent.
and he cut his hand, which is really what you love. And now all the DIY projects are unfinished, and he can't do anything else in the house. So that was great. That was really great. And he was just really annoyed and upset and just frustrated because he's very much a doer. He's very sporty. Couldn't take the dog out for a walk. All of these things. And so we were sat at dinner, and he was really upset and just in a really bad mood. And I turned over and I went, "Would it help if I chopped your dinner up for you?" And then he looked really angry. And then he burst out laughing, because he used one of his hands. I don't know. It's just, I mean, maybe that. I think I still found it more funny than what he did. To be
He
fair,
will
but
eventually see the funny side, I'm sure.
but we just
We have to I think it's a really important outlet for us to have humour when things are hard. As in not in a masking way, as we've said already, but just that we've gotta have joy in the
you
toughest
know
moments because it's life.
honestly, and then you think in those moments where there is like unspeakable grief and there is that laughter, you remember the thing that you're grieving. You remember the person that you're grieving, and you see the joy, which is when we've been to funerals, and when I think about the fact that we lost my niece a little
Yeah,
while ago
I'm so
to
sorry.
suicide. Yeah, we lost her, and but out of her life, her mother has set up this amazing charity called Grace to Restore that celebrates and helps other women, young women going through suicidal ideation.
Mm,
And part of that charity, the basis of that charity is joy, and it's celebrating the joy that Grace had in her life. As ill as she was a really happy person.
mm,
Also,
mm.
we can hold both.
Yeah, that's so
We can.
important.
We are not robots. You can hold
Yeah,
both.
thank you. And that's really important because sometimes people can think someone's okay because they
Yeah,
are so joyful, but actually they could
yeah.
be really struggling
Of
as
course,
well,
of
and that's
course.
important. There's a couple more things I wanna ask you. One is because I know everyone will want to ask you this because again, it's a big in my coaching and in the work I do with the Purpose Pursuit course, one of the things people struggle with is how many demands are on our life. And I think as
Yeah,
working mums, we're in a very squeezed point. We've got
yeah.
parents, we've got children, we've got work, we've got admin, all the things.
All the things.
Literally all the things. I mean, I'm constantly writing lists that say ridiculous things from
Yes,
return the
me
ASOS,
too.
set up a pension,
I love it.
email the
Drop
carpenter.
off Vinted. Go to corner shop. Empty
Yeah,
bin.
breathe.
White bin. and then, but
exactly.
with that is also tax, uh,
Yeah.
and work things.
Email
And
this input publisher. Exactly. So all of that is going on. How do you
I don't know.
what helps you make decisions on how to spend your time? When do you, when do you pull yourself back from overwhelm? I'm a work in progress with this, but what are you learning about this?
I think for me is, where do I get fed? And for me, my faith is really important.
Yeah.
Making space for me, ways for my faith to grow, that is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
important. Another one is working out. Get up in the morning and I do half an hour. I just do a bit of whatever I feel like, whether it's jumping around, whether it's weights. I don't know what it is, but I will do it and my mind will just reset. um and another thing is eating. I'm really good on not eating, but just eating well
I'm
for
really
myself.
good at eating, Olga.
I'm really
That's
good at eating. It's just little care things. So, I'm really good at making sure there's everything in for the family. But I'm like, is there stuff for me?
Mm,
Is there stuff that I can eat that's going to
yeah.
make me feel good? Have I got vibrant food in that's going to make me feel vibrant? Not
Yeah.
always. Sometimes I will just want to eat a Toblerone and go to bed and cry. But I try and just do the self. Before I didn't really bother so much, but as I've gotten older, especially turning 50, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to work out and I don't want to eat well, but I'm going to do the things. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to get out. We've got a black lab who's full of joy and energy, and we've had him for about a year, and he has also helped me a lot as well in that
Mm.
we'll go out for walks together, we'll play together. So I make space for playing, and also I make space for knowing when it's time to not be on my phone, because if I'm on my phone too much, especially in the line of work I'm in, it can make me feel really depressed and low, especially the
Absolutely.
scrolling.
Mm,
um I have to know, right, that's enough. I've been on it enough. I've done what I need to do with my
mm,
post or whatever it is I'm doing, and now I'm moving on now.
yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
I think your point, I would agree that I would say this last year, I've worked harder on what do I need than probably ever before.
yeah.
And it's so easy to just be like, well, wait till tomorrow, wait till tomorrow. There's never time for walks. There's never time for you have
There's
to
never
make
time.
it.
There
There's
is never a time. There is never going to be time. There is no
no,
time. There is
no,
no time. Or people will say to me, "Oh, but then you obviously." No, there is no time.
no,
But
there isn't. You have to
I
just make it.
I'll make it. I will make the time. And before it used to be like, oh, I don't want to work out because I haven't done the washing and I haven't done the dishwasher. And I'm like, well, what's the first thing that I need? I need to go and do that
Yeah,
for
I,
myself.
I think I think that's important, and again, I work with lots of women who are really struggling with that principle because they're stuck in that time trap of there's too much to do. Myself, some days I'm very stuck in that time trap too, and I'll see all the things that need to be done and don't end up doing what I need to do. But if
Yeah.
I'm going to be in this for the long haul, I've got to do that, and I've got to put
Yeah.
some of those things
It,
in.
it's a bit like I want to be a fit granny for
Yes,
my
me
kids. I feel
too.
good. I want to be here. I want to, sometimes it's like I have so much to do that I have to go and look after myself. Sorry, that's my son jumping around with the dog. One
That's all
second.
right.
My
It's
office is in
fine.
the garden. Sorry.
It's fine.
I have so basically I have so much to do. I have to do something for myself.
Yeah.
Or it might be that out of all of those tasks, I'm going to take that one task that I need to do, and I'm going to maybe go and do it in a coffee shop. I'm going to take
Mm,
tasks 8, task number 1 and task number 7, and I'll do them in a coffee shop with a hot chocolate. I can make a
yeah.
hot chocolate at home, but I would just think, what little bit of self-care can I give to me? Where is that? And it's not easy. There isn't an easy way. There is
And
no tips.
nobody's going to help
There is no
necessarily. You
tips.
do this.
There is no tips. And you know what? You're going to hate it. You're
Mm,
going to hate every single minute of starting to do it, but then it will become a habit, and then you
yeah.
will enjoy it, and then you will realize that it's your stress relief. So there is no tips for like, oh, how do you get into it? Just do it.
I agree, and
Literally.
I think some people will say because I've got friends with toddlers or younger
Yeah.
children, and or even like under tens, and they'll say, "Oh, but it gets easier when your kids get older," and I'm like, "No, it
No, it
doesn't.
doesn't.
It
It gets
just
harder.
doesn't.
It
It's
gets
hard.
harder.
Their issues are
Because you lose,
big.
yeah,
Your
and you
head
lose
is full.
your head
My
is full,
sister,
your body change.
yeah,
My body doesn't react to exercise the way that it used
no,
to. everything is harder. You feel you can get depressed, your hormones are all over the place, you've got teenage, it's different
Yeah, which is
stresses.
why you've just got to fight for it because it doesn't
Justified.
my sister's got married 3 of my sister's 4 kids are married. She said, you're just carrying them in your heart in a different way. They're dealing with the biggest things of life. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
you're now not worried about how they not worried in a wrong way, but, they're still full in your thoughts and your grandchildren
Yes.
and all of that. So nobody is gonna fight for it. Even the people who love you the most, you're gonna have to fight for this yourself. That's what I've
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
and make
Nobody's
it a
going to do it
priority.
for you. There is no quick fix.
There's no
And
hack. There's
yeah,
no
and I
hack.
there's no hack. And I've even tried the whole old, do a bit of online shopping or a bit of that doesn't make me feel good either. Doesn't make me
No.
feel good either. If I'm really, really in a bad place and I'm really struggling, I will literally get a podcast, something that makes me feel good. Maybe it's a sermon. I love a little YouTube sermon, and I'll go and declutter a drawer.
Yeah.
If I'm at my really worst and I've got huge overwhelm, I'll declutter with a sermon. And by the time I've decluttered a drawer,
You
um,
feel so much better.
yeah, and I mean, don't even get me started on I haven't done dishwasher yet, and I haven't even got the bits in for the dinner. I will just go and do something that's just mindful, that's just bringing me back to sensory,
Yeah,
connecting with my fingers, connecting with
yeah,
my hands, listening to something that's going to build up my heart, build up my soul, build up my spirit, and then I will just do something a really small task, and I find that sometimes helps me to connect.
yeah, it's good.
Um,
And also tidying something makes you feel like you're bringing some order back, I find. When
yeah,
I'm cleaning in the kitchen, my husband knows, I can know what you're doing. You're doing that thing, which is you're trying to bring a bit of order to your insides by,
yeah, of
bringing a bit
course,
of order to your outside world.
always,
I'm aware of time and you're a very busy person. We're literally talking about it, but there's a couple more things I wanna ask you. One is about this play and joy that's in the book.
yeah.
I talk to, again, a lot of women, and men as well, who are maybe in their 40s, in their 50s, and they say to me, "I don't even know what it is that I enjoy. I don't even know what play would be for me." And you talk in your book about, connecting back to play, finding things that they enjoy. What about if, again, you might not have any immediate answers for this, but
Mm.
how do we help somebody remember what the things are that play might be, or what they even want to do to enjoy? Well, that isn't just a
I
task
think
or stuff they've got
I
to
think
do.
it's just looking up and looking around you. I think life is hilarious. Just going to the local supermarket and looking around and the odd things that happen, and just looking at people, or oh, don't get those potatoes, Rodney. Like it just honestly, it's the tiniest things make me laugh. It could be, the way that my dog's ears move. It's not necessarily something you do. It's an awareness, I
That's
think.
good. That's
It's
really
a
good.
it's a childlike awareness of, you can see things but not really look at them. It's about really looking at the life that you're in and being present
Mm.
in the life that you're in, and seeing the funny things around you, or or even there is somebody that might need something, or a stranger, or somebody that, I've been out and somebody might have dropped something, and I'm like, excuse me, you dropped this, and oh, that's okay, or which way are you going, or just being mindful of the people around you, and just going, okay, I'm just going to take my blinkers off just for today. Help, and speaking to yourself and saying, okay, help myself to notice the things that I take for granted. um and I think that that's play, because children have such a wide-eyed wonder about the world.
Everything. Yeah.
Wow, look at that, everything is, look at that. And
It's
where was I the other day? I saw there was a blossom on a tree, and I was absolutely stunned. I don't remember it there, and I was like, wow, where, and it was just play. It was just play, letting my soul play and go,
mm,
wow,
it's
that's
really
amazing. Or
really
just
good.
looking back over your life and going, look at how far I've come. Maybe I've
Mm.
not come as far as I thought, but I've definitely come further than where I was last year.
Totally. Chris Guillebeau talks about having a reverse bucket list where you stop and write down all the things you've actually done, not the things
Yes,
you want to do, but
we're
actually
so
stopping and
busy.
look at this and look at this,
Yes,
wonderful thing that I did or was a part of, or got to experience. I took the
yes,
dog for a walk this morning in a city park not far from where I live, and there's a lot of people in there who are, busy on where they're going. And I decided I came home feeling really good. We're having a little run, and the dog was pottering around.
love that.
But I made a decision that I was gonna smile and say good morning to every single person I passed, and I got a few smiles back, and I got a few mornings back from other people, and I just literally felt so happy going back to the
Yes,
car that I'd
it's a
connected with
tiny thing.
strangers and made
It's a
them feel
tiny,
good,
yes, I
or
love
they thought
that.
I was mad, maybe, as
You know,
well.
and it was like, and or or just chatting, talking to people that are doing it. How are you today? Or just
Yeah,
people that are
stopping
so
and
busy on a
looking.
till. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I literally feel like Dot Cotton. I don't want to talk to anybody. Leave me alone. But it's just having that awareness, just being
Mm,
aware, and you'll literally there'll be something. A cat will jump out of a bin, or just I don't know what it will be. It will
yeah.
just be that. It will be when you're ready to see, then you're ready to look. Gosh, that sounds
That's
very
good.
deep.
No, it's very good. I mean, let's come back to your book, okay? Because I think we should finish with that.
Amazing.
As I said, I really loved reading it. I love reading life stories. I find them so interesting. And like I said, if you're listening to this and you haven't picked it up yet, it's called Split Ends and New Beginnings by Olga Thompson, brackets, Big Fat Greek Mother. And in the book, as I said before, it's a walk through Olga's life. Not totally chronologically. There's a bit of back and forth, and everything is based around this experience of having grown up with a hairdresser mom, and the salon being a big part of her life. But also, every single small chapter has something for you to stop and think about, to reflect on, and see how that story from Olga's story can be an encouragement and blessing to you. And I would absolutely recommend it to everyone listening.
Thank
But
you.
Olga, you wrote it and it's your story. What is your hope for readers of Split Ends? What is it that you would love them
Just
to walk away? If they said to you, Olga, I loved it because, what is it that you would love
I loved it
to
because it
walk
made
away?
me see that not everything was wasted.
Yeah, that's so
All the
good.
parts of there were some things in my life that I thought were wasted, and now I can see it wasn't the end.
Mm, it's
That
really
that
good.
that would just make me so happy.
I love that. I really love that, and I'm really grateful for your time.
Thank you.
It's been so lovely
So
to talk to you.
nice.
You are wonderful. Your story's brilliant, and thank you for being so honest and generous to
Thank
everybody
you.
to be able to read your story.
It's
Thanks, Olga.
so
Lots of love.
lovely. Thank you.